Welcome back to Business AM. My name is Simba Elijah Charles Kiage, and in the studio we have William and Peter Amunga. Good. We are ready. Yeah. So that means we want to tell you what you should know this morning, and we want to give you a line of thought. We want to help you analyze exactly what is going on in the economy right now. Straight to the first headline this morning, gentlemen. The government has continued to actually talk about youth employment in the country, and they are also supporting manufacturing. And William, I want us to come from a backdrop of 840,000 jobs that were created by the government. That's what they're telling us in 2018. And people are saying, where are these jobs? 840,000 against the number of youth we are taking out of universities. The number of youth that are unemployed is quite a huge number. Currently, we have close to 7 million unemployed people in the economy. So when you take 840,000 out of that, then that means we're still not there. Good. Now, the fight against youth unemployment in the country is highly being stressed by every arm of the government and nation at large. Now, the government, in partnership with the Kenya Youth Employment and Opportunities Project, KYOP, launched a competition dubbed Mbele na Biz, aimed at enabling youth-led enterprises bring brilliant ideas to life and in turn create employment opportunities for other Kenyans. Now, according to a survey done by the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics, over 7 million Kenyans are unemployed. A majority of these are the youth. Now, the competition will therefore allow entrepreneurial youth to compete for grants between 800,000 to 3.6 million Kenyan shillings. Let's leave it there. The World Bank analyzes the economy of Kenya and says, look, one of the biggest challenges, and they're not saying it is capital. No. They are talking about, number one, infrastructure. Number two, the rapid level of technology development within the country. And then they place capital as number three. And they're stressing availability of capital to startups. They're not saying about the ongoing businesses. They're stressing on new businesses into the country. Ms. Amunga, I want to start with you this morning. Is availing money the start to solving this failure of businesses in the country?
Yes, it could be a solution. Of course, money is needed.
Yes.
Of course, money must be availed. If the youth have to participate in the growth of this economy, money must be made available to the youth. The question is, how do you avail the money? I've read about this Mbele na business plan, and I just came to discover it's another competition. It's a lotto.
It's sort of like a lotto.
It's a lotto.
Yes.
And that is where my problem is. I'm sorry, I'm always on the negative. But that's where my problem is.
Yes.
Why are we a lotto kind of country? Then everything we want to do as a country, we want to inject funds to the youth, we must go through the lotto way. That there has to be some competition, somebody has to be picked, another fellow has to be left out. You know, why can't we inject money directly? Now, talk about the groups that are involved in the Mbele na business competition. You discover that most of these groups are government. Some of them have been there. The Kenya Youth Enterprise Project.
Yes.
You know, all these kind of groups have been there. You want to tell me all these years they've been in existence? The only thing they can think about to help the Kenyan youth is a competition? Is a Mbele na business competition? I'm not saying it's a bad idea.
Yes.
But I'm saying there can be a better idea. To inject money to the youth.
Yes. William?
I'm tempted to give a few figures, or rather to assert the figures that you gave.
Yes.
Allow me to yield to that temptation. Yes, we have over 250,000 university students.
Yes.
Out of these, about 100,000 would be graduating every year. These people need jobs. About 56% of them get jobs, the others do not. Of course, they remain unemployed, and by that they also are in a debt trap by health. So now there is a complexity of problems when it comes to unemployment in the country. But I want to say that one of the biggest problems has been to access markets. Of course, access to capital is also a major problem.
Yes.
But you see, the government is the biggest buyer, and they came up with the AGPO and the access to government procurement, that is, and it seems like it's not working properly because the youth are not accessing these opportunities. And so they need to access markets in as much as they are accessing capital.
Yes.
And if the local market then is too small, we need to think regional. But let me also point out, perhaps just to reassure you, that the need to provide capital is indeed a good direction to go. If you read a book called Startup Nation about the Israeli country and how they became the technological powerhouse that they are today, they put aside over $1 billion just for you to make mistakes, innovate, and start business, fail, and start again. Out of it, products like Intel came to fore. Google has been using some of the technology developed in Israel. And out of it, the economy is today not among the so-called developing nations. And so, yes, giving access to capital is key, but as he said, we are becoming a lotto country.
Yes.
Even the housing fund here, you can get a house or may not get a house.
Yes.
It's a sad scenario,
Yes.
and we need to think about that.
Yes.
Yes.
Amunga.
Yes, I agree with you.
Let's look at it like this, therefore. We have this youth that we're saying, we're going to look at your ideas, we're going to make you compete, and then after that, we are going to sort of push you further with these funds that we're giving you, so you can also provide employment to other people in the country. Now, when we're talking about 7 million Kenyans who are supposed to be in jobs, but they are not, I'm talking about generating 100,000 youth every single year out of our universities, and then out of this, just 56% will get jobs, and then 44% won't get into these jobs that we're talking about. Are we at risk of targeting the wrong people without therefore digging deeper into these statistics and understanding why are these businesses failing?
Yes, and the problem that, actually let me not use the word the problem. The issue is this. Where is the research? You know, everything must be founded on proper research. And if possible, somebody need to have, there's something we keep hearing around in this country called public participation. The youth have a voice. The youth have their chairmans. The youth have their groups. The youth are there. But you see, the problem I keep on saying is, we have some of us, people who are aged like me, I'm about 50, sitting in some office somewhere, in some ivory tower somewhere, and deciding for that youth. Why are we not allowing those youth to meet somewhere at KICC or at Uhuru Park? Then the youth tell us, guys, this is what we can do. These are our skills. This is how far we've been trained.
Yes.
844 system has brought us this far. We can do this. This we can't do. But when one of us visits Malaysia, an old guy like me goes to Malaysia, sees what Malaysians are doing, write a proposal, come back to government and say, we can do this also with our youth. Then you force it down the throats of the youth. It won't work.
Yes.
And that is where the problem has been. That we are doing things for our youth. We are thinking on their behalf. We are like saying, these guys can't manage. As we can direct them. Ni kama watu ni watoto wetu. So we have to change them every time.
Yes.
From India.
Yes.
Do this.
Yes.
If you don't do this, we'll do this to you.
Yes.
I like what he said, that if you look at countries like Israel, the government allowed the youths to experiment on their own and come up with what they can do.
Yes.
These youths of ours in Kenya are very, 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 actually when you look at them, they're very enterprising. Look at the way they do their music. Look at the way they do their border thing. Look at the way they do their technology, IT things. You look at them on Twitter. Look at them on Facebook. Actually, when I read this youth, I discover they are very bright. But I can't think on their behalf.
Yes.
We must allow the youth to come up with a paradigm, something that they can fit in and do well with.
Yes. Well, the government addresses this and says, look, the Central Bank of Kenya, you know the terrain that has gone there. From Patrick Njoroge saying, look, I'm going to arrest any CEO, doesn't give money to any qualifying startup somewhere or to any qualifying business. Treasury saying, we are going to guarantee you some principal amount if you give this money to the youth. That has gone, and now we are at the point where we're saying there's a product called the Stawi product that is supposed to give the lending rates at the low 9%. That's the cheapest now. That has been termed revolutionary. But now, look, at the same time, there are news all over where we have this other youth who have stuck at some points. They cannot be able to scale up. I mean, just you and me know that some of their enterprises have been taken off the roads. I mean, if you go to Thika Road right now, some of them have been taken out because of sanitizing the city. If you go to some county governments, the same thing is getting done because of sanitizing the way the county governments look like, isn't it? Therefore, there's this majority of this youth down here. This, I would call it the baseline businesses. Should we be targeting that as well, other than looking at these other businesses where these youth, number one, can be able to give you a proposal. Number two, they can be able to tell you who they are targeting, how they are targeting it. They will tell you how they're going to scale up, because we are at risk, therefore, of just neglecting these baseline enterprises, which we should be talking about as well.
Yes, I mean, like I said, the problem is the market. If you ask me, the bigger problem is the market.
Yes.
You know, Kenya is not just Nairobi. Assume a young man who is doing fishing somewhere in Malindi or in Mombasa, and then they are having a problem accessing the bigger market with the hotels because they do not have storage facilities, they do not have, you know, the Kenya Bureau of Standards signage, and so it becomes a problem. And so it is not just a problem of them getting money to scale up, it's also an issue of proper training. It's an issue of how does the government offer support to them. But the problem is not just in fishing, it's also in agriculture, where someone who does proper farming is lucky, the rains have come, good production, but then again, accessing Nairobi is a big problem. Partly because of the cops on the way that keep asking him for bribes, and partly because of storage challenges and transportation challenges. And so it's a myriad of issues. But even in Nairobi, sir, very many young people at iHub and MLab have come up with very good innovation that can solve some of the problems we have. And the very people who are now proposing these in government have turned them down, have discouraged them from making this progress because the solutions that are provided will deny them an opportunity to eat. And so there is a cartel that is frustrating the youth. And so I do not think that the problem is merely an issue of capital. There is need to have some proper capital, I mean some proper support system, some proper training, better access to the market, greater opportunity for the youth. Yes.
All right, gentlemen, if you just allow me, I just want us to take a short look at a clip at the launch of the Biz Nambele event, and from there we can actually get now the last talking points for this conversation, which is actually integral to cementing this conversation. Richie, if you got it, just give it to me.
A successful launch of the Mbele na Biz competition, which is a competition where young Kenyans get to submit their business plans in order for them to be vetted and grants to be given out, has been done. And right about now, we want to speak to a good lady named Abla Safil, who is a senior economist with the World Bank, just to get an insight of what Mbele na Biz competition is about, and is entrepreneurship the silver bullet to unemployment in Kenya. Thank you very much for making time. What necessitated you guys to come on board and support the Mbele na Biz initiative or competition?
I think everyone recognizes that youth employment is a huge challenge in Kenya and even throughout the continent. A key constraint to growing businesses is financial constraint, is the lack of funding. So recognizing this and recognizing that job creation is key, and that's supporting promising young entrepreneurs who have promising business ideas. They can have an existing business, but they can also have a new business idea, but again, that has high impact potential. It would be extremely important to support that in order to help achieve the ultimate goal of providing employment for young Kenyans.
What is different about this? Because not very much results are always yielded at the end.
Key features of Mbele na Biz is this fact of having sort of two different amounts, one of 900,000 shillings and one of 3.6 million shillings. The idea there is to see, okay, how much do businesses need? Is giving them, can they do just pretty well with 900,000, or do they actually need the 3.6 million to be able to progress?
And the Kenyan sector, unemployment continues to be.
All right, I'm going to start with you, Amunga. If you listen to her, she says, what is different about this program is that we've looked at the businesses and we know how much money they need to get started. There's one that is 800,000. There's one that is 3.6 million. Are we, therefore, if you look at the whole conversation, is just about money, money, money. Are we, therefore, overlooking, and that's exactly the question I want to ask you, are we overlooking the other factors that are operational within the economy where, at the end of the day, it's just about money to the youth?
That is it.
Yes.
There are bigger things than just money to the youth.
Yes.
There are issues about housing. There are issues about their education and training.
Yes.
There are issues about how they live and handle the money itself.
Yes.
There are issues about corruption in this country.
Yes.
Now, you cannot start talking just that I want to give them money, I want to give them money. But you've not looked at the cascading issues that are coming down and covering most of the and blinding even the youth from seeing the opportunities. So she's talking well, but it's not money.
Yes.
In fact, I tend to think like this. I listened to a person who was speaking, a business mogul, who said that money follows the idea.
Yes.
It is not the idea that follows the money. First of all, there is an idea. There has to be a mission. There has to be some vision. There has to be some calling, if I may use that kind of word, first, before the money comes. But you see, if you think about money first, then the vision or the mission follows it, then you're already on the wrong track.
Yes.
And that's what I'm already saying.
And that's exactly what you're saying. William, just before we cross over to the next one, is it okay for us to talk about money before we look at the performance of the whole sector by itself, come up and know, yes, despite us talking about money, there are other underlying challenges that we should solve first, then after that we start talking about the money. And do you think that the Kenyan youth and our businesses are at that level where we should now talk about the money issue?
Well, sorry, I mean, allow me to differ.
Yes.
I love the talk about money. I like to talk about money.
Yes.
I want money to go to the youth as much as it can. Unajua, the Kenyans say, tumia pesa ikuzoe.
Yeah.
So I'd love as many young people as possible to tumia pesa so that... But I agree with you in principle that there are other underlying factors that need to be considered. Factors of training and skill, factors of market access, factors of governance, factors of support, logistical support.
Which all lead to ease of doing business, isn't it, when you look at it?
Absolutely, absolutely. There is some progress in terms of digitization of government services, but there's still a lot of governance loopholes that needs to be sealed before we can get to a point where we say, yeah, we are properly digitized.
Yes.
Yeah, so I agree with you that there is still a lot to be done, that needs to be done. I hope that this will be accompanied with proper policies that will ensure that those problems are solved.
All right. The next conversation starts with a question, Mr. Munga, this morning. Are you happy? Years into devolution now, are you happy, Kenyan? Just want to answer.
No, I'm a confused Kenyan. I'm a confused Kenyan.
William, are you happy, Kenyan?
I'm indifferent.
All right, so let's leave this to it. Now, the Kenya Alliance or Resident Associations, KARA, commissioned Ipsos to carry out a service delivery survey on the 5 major counties, Nairobi, Kisumu, Mombasa, Nakuru, and Uasin Gishu, with the main objective of the survey to bend or to ascertain public perception on specific service delivery areas in the 5 counties, with the aim of identifying where the counties have performed well and also where there is room for improvement. Specifically, the survey focused on evaluating status of public participation, ease of doing businesses, and the status of entrepreneurship. Let's stop it there. I know off camera I asked you, William, I'm going to start with you. On public participation, when you look at your county, how much are you involved in every spending that your county performs?
Not very involved, I'm afraid, I have to confess. Well, first of all, I am a man of 3 counties. I stay in Nairobi. I've grown up in Mombasa all my life. And of course, my heritage is somewhere in Siaya County. In neither of the 3 countries have I been able to attend a proper session to engage with them. But of course, I have done memos here and there. In terms of where we are as regards devolution, I think there is some significant progress. If you go to the ground and you ask the person on the ground, what do you think about devolution, they'll be very happy because finally service is reaching them, money, resources are reaching them, and they are seeing some level of delivery.
Yes.
On the other hand, of course, there are a few governance issues that make me sick to my stomach, like a governor depositing 100 million into his daughter's account. That is very sad. Or a governor applying himself, confessing in public that he has failed and is applying for his government to be dissolved. That is most disturbing.
It's actually contagious this morning because we're talking about public participation. And Amunga, when I talked about this in the morning, you were a bit quiet. I just want to know why you were a bit quiet when I'm asking William, do you support what Taita Taveta governor right now is doing by saying, look, and you support William when he says that the governor has failed indeed, when we're talking about public participation? Should it be the best line for all our county developments?
Actually, it is the irony of it all that, that somebody can really say that, you know, dissolve my government, just dissolve it, is a confession of failure.
Is it, Amunga, I would like to pin you on that point,
Yes,
really.
yes.
You are saying you are confused fella when it comes to devolution.
Yes, I'm confused.
But some governor somewhere tells you, these MCAs that I put here, they
Yes.
don't want to involve you so that you
Yes.
don't get confused.
Yes.
So if they don't do that, let me take them out of office or I give you people who can actually involve you.
that-
Shouldn't you support him?
No, that's where the confusion is.
Yes.
Why is he telling me now that they don't want me, so let us dissolve the government? So then after that, what? You see, what I want to say is this.
Yes.
Most of the things that we see in our county governments or
Yes.
in the devolution in this country is more drama, soap opera, people playing games, tricks on each other. And this kind of games, we are getting tired of them as Kenyans. When will somebody sit down and work? Why do they love drama? Why do they like soap opera?
Yes.
You know, every day they want to treat us to some game, something funny, you know, comedians. And the worst part of it is this, that the problem is not even those leaders in the devolved units.
Yes.
It is us. That's why I'm even very confused. We elect those guys. that in a city like Nairobi,
Yes.
where people are so educated, the best universities in this country are in Nairobi, they are very ready to choose a person who has quote unquote things that are not very sure
Yeah,
if
yeah.
he qualified or not
Yes,
qualified.
yes.
Yet in West Pokot, guys who may not have gone to school properly or may not have to have those universities are able to elect a governor who is a professor of mathematics and those kind of things.
Yes.
So we are saying this. The confusion is not even the devolved units. It is us Kenyans who are confused. We started on a wrong footing. We didn't seem to understand this constitution. Somebody once wrote and said, this constitution is light years ahead of many Kenyans. So we are like a guy who's late for a train,
Yes.
trying to catch the train by running after the SGR thing.
Yes.
So that's what Kenyans are.
Uh-huh.
This devolution is ahead of us.
Yes.
So these comedians have taken advantage of it, and so they are playing those clown games with us, doing funny things. One of them comes to work on the Tomboya statue in Nairobi. Another one goes back to Machakos and also revenges. So it's a game.
Yes.
It's a drama.
Yes.
And the best we can do as Kenyans is, those who are confused like me, is to sit back, watch, and get more confused.
William, it's interesting that I know where you come from now. Listen to your county. Now, some of the residents are saying, good. Yes, we expected devolution. It's a good thing. And we celebrated on it. But now is when most Kenyans are coming to realize, maybe we won't be really served by this devolution, because now is when Kenyans are coming to realize that every county is now a fully functional government that has the right to run and fund a certain budget is supposed to make it operate. Now listen to your county. Good. In terms of taxes, Siaya County. If you're a street preacher, okay, you're supposed to pay 20,000 to use a loan in between the county. Number 2, lunchtime preachers, you're supposed to part with 1,000 shillings. Let's continue. Exhuming a body in your county is going to cost you 50,000 if that is an adult, 20,000 if that is a child, an infant, and 30,000 if that is a child. Let's continue. Street hawkers, they're going to pay 400 shillings per month. Amid this now, we do know that we are not fully devolved. Amid this taxes, there is the taxes that the national government. So it's imposing on the same residents who are waking up to these taxes. We do know that kerosene now is up by 3 shillings probably. We do know that excise duty also on petroleum is supposed to go up by the 10% that we expected to go up by. So when you look at it like that, Because we do know that the counties, number one, why they were created, devolve service, devolve jobs now, isn't it? Create jobs and make your counties prosper, if you like to say. Do you think years into this, we are there, or we're still running up and down to understand what this evolution is?
Sorry, if I was the governor of Siaya,
Yes.
I'd probably make the same decision.
Are you?
Sadly,
Really? Yes.
and I'll explain why.
Yes.
Sadly, devolution is working. Unlike President Uhuru, the governor of Siaya,
Yes.
is right there. People see him every day. People visit him every day. In case of anything, they still go to his office and say, Governor,
Yes.
you are not delivering.
Uh-huh.
So he's under more pressure to deliver, and that was the whole point of devolution.
Of devolution, isn't
to
it?
bring
Mhm.
services closer to
Yes.
the people. But you see, there on the other side also, the national government has full mandate and full authority
Yes.
over treasury, which was an oversight in the drafters, because then the national government can decide who gets money first,
Yes.
who gets money when,
Yes. And
they
who
can
gets how much, isn't it?
And who gets how much.
Yes.
It's very unfortunate. And so then the governor of Siaya might be getting, you know, in this year's government,
Yes.
the one that, the budget, the one that they have not agreed upon,
Yes.
only 11.4% of the whole budget
It's
is
supposed
going
to go to the
is going to the
Yes,
counties.
yes.
This is very sad. That's less than what education ministry as a whole
Yes.
got.
Yes.
And these are 47 governments. It is a sad scenario. And so now you find yourself as a government with a lot of things that are defined in the Constitution, in Schedule 4 of the Constitution,
Yes.
that you are supposed to deliver to the people. But the national government is refusing
To give you the money, isn't it?
The money to
and
do
therefore, that's why we're saying these taxes.
and that is why now you turn to the
Yes.
people.
Uh-huh.
There is an economic debate between tax cuts and increasing taxes. Which of them affect revenue and which of them affect productivity in the economy?
Yes.
On one hand, ordinarily the guys who reduce taxes argue that when they do so, the economy will be more productive and there will be more productivity. But there is no evidence to prove that.
Yes.
And so then those of us who propose that increase taxes when it is necessary to do so, we say there is no evidence that if you reduce it, there will be higher productivity.
Yes.
Of course, there should be some provision for if some people are starting afresh, entrepreneurs in the county are starting afresh, give them a tax holiday for 6 months, let them establish, and then after that you will
Then
enjoy
pretty
their
much
money
go and start
forever.
taxing, isn't it?
Yes.
Therefore, are we, and I want to talk about this, especially what we've seen happen in the counties. Now, most Kenyans feel, under those counties that were surveyed by Ipsos, that what we are seeing mostly is devolved corruption as opposed to devolved service. What do you think most Kenyans, what do you think the loopholes are when it comes to the counties in terms of corruption?
Very
Where are the loopholes?
The loopholes is politics. We as Kenyans have politicized everything.
Yes.
We've decided that everything, this country moves via politics. So we politicized the elections of the leaders of the devolved units. And that's where we went wrong. When we bring in politics, you see, in countries like Malaysia and Singapore,
Yes.
which were at par with Kenya in the 60s, they actually went the federal way, and they went into the way of, you know, the possibility of Majimbo, what we call those days Majimbo,
Yes.
which is now called devolution. And they remained with their devolution in those units. But what they did, their governors were not politicians. They were managers. They were CEOs. What our county governments needed to do were, maybe we got it wrong when we brought in that you have to elect a governor 5 years, then again give him another 5 years, and then, you know, that kind of thing.
Yes.
So a governor becomes, as he puts it, a person who has to be visited by the people. Governor, you've not delivered this. Governor, can you do this? Governor, you didn't do that.
Yes.
Governor, have a funeral. So the governor plays into the hands of politics. And look at all our governors in this country. What even is happening in Taita Taveta. And so it has been, it's devolved corruption. The way they were corrupt in the national government, the politicians, the same guys just moved down to the devolved units, and that's what's going on. And just to finish it, the many taxes that we are seeing in the devolved units are not
Yes.
taxes to help those units. How much money, for example, can we say, comes out of, say, Nakuru County and goes directly back to help the Nakuru people. The money that's collected from the streets and from the hawkers and all those people finally ends up again in the wrong hands of corruption.
Yes.
The day we'll get a CEO for those county governments, a CEO,
Yes.
like the Safaricom CEO, Bob Collymore the late. We get somebody like James Mwangi from Equity Bank. Let's get CEOs to run our county governments. Then we'll be talking a different language.
All right. I just want to make one quick announcement. After this Business AM, you do know that the first derivatives market, that is for the NSE, is getting launched today. We shall be crossing live to the event. And after that, we shall get a deeper analysis of exactly the events as they happen on our Markets Today show next after Business AM. William.
Yes.
The next one is contagious. We do know that the country and the government, if even looked at the way that the budget was drafted this year, is that anybody who is into the business of protecting the environment was really getting tax exempt. Even when it comes to corporate tax, it was more than halved, all right, in terms of getting cut. Now, it is illegal by law. Every Kenyan knows that, but you and me knows what is illegal in Kenya is either here or there, to get into charcoal business. Let's get an introduction therefore. Now, State House is sent to spend taxpayers' cash on charcoal, despite President Uhuru Kenyatta's push for clean energy. This comes from a tender notice that was published where State House invited bids for the supply of charcoal and or liquid petroleum gas for cooking and supply for general office stationery, pencils and books, document folders and files, among other items. Now, trading charcoal is highly restricted in Kenya as the state seeks to preserve forests. In February last year, the government imposed a ban on logging to boost the regeneration of the forest cover and for the sending charcoal price, and therefore this sent charcoal prices way up there. Amunga, I just want to ask you one question. Where do they expect this charcoal to come from?
I don't know, maybe Somali or somewhere. Because obviously, where will this guy who has this tender, where will the tendering person be able to get this charcoal? Will you go to Somalia? Will you go to Uganda? Will you go to Egypt? And what we are saying, what we are asking, and many people on Twitter and Facebook and everyone are asking and raising eyebrows about is this person who you are really excited about this.
Yes, it's just a response. Uganda also.
Yes, maybe they always go to Uganda.
Yes.
But what we are saying now is this.
Yes.
Why should we, State House of all places, advertise for charcoal? We can't even understand. We can't even comprehend it.
Yes.
And we have a problem at State House.
Yes.
And we have told some of those guys who work there. You guys sometimes wake up, I don't know if you have, I don't know what happens to you guys. But you cannot wake up and advertise for charcoal. No, not charcoal. I mean, let's for everything else. But charcoal, we need gas or something else, not charcoal at State House.
William, where do you expect this charcoal to come from? And are you ready to check this tender? If you get a source of this charcoal. Yes.
I'm a businessman.
Not,
are you not afraid that you will be breaking law in Kenya to supply charcoal?
State House. there should be some caveat or, you know. But listen,
yes.
Two things come to mind on this. One,
yes.
Is merely a political rhetoric.
Yes.
Allow me to enjoy myself now that State House is enjoying itself.
Yes.
I have a feeling we are being distracted.
Yes.
That this was intentional to distract us from something else.
Yes.
That government wants to do, and they need to cover the news with charcoal. Really, because it makes no sense. Ordinarily, when you see funny news like that, it's because they are distracting you from the real thing, which is probably someone somewhere is stealing billions. But the second problem is really a big issue, which is this shows the disconnect in this government. That there is hardly any effort to coordinate the functions of the overall government. Because what the president says and what his chief of staff does are worlds apart.
Yes.
In fact, I'm not even sure if he needed to listen to the president. All he needed to do was actually just look at the law. And that is why the Big Four is not being delivered on, because the president is saying it, but his lieutenants are doing something else.
Yes.
This is why then he has gone to Nairobi Internal Container Depot 1,000 times if I can put it that way.
Yes.
Because there is just no efficiency around the SGR.
Yes.
So the problem of disconnect and proper coordination
Yes.
in government
Yes.
is a reality, and this now shows to prove our point.
It proves a point. Now, gentlemen, I want us to avoid this next, because now we know we're going there next, and Marcus today is really coming to delve into this further. So just one response really on exactly what's going on in the textile industry. Now, we do know that imports in textile into the things, into the clothes or the apparels that Kenyans households get, the ones that come from outside account for 45%. Now, if you look at exactly what's happening in the country, there's a drive by President Kenyatta to revive the textile industry. Do you think there was a directive back then that caused uproar in the country when they said they're going to stop the importation of second-hand clothes into the Kenyan economy? Do you think that the only way for us to do that, other than this money that we are pumping into these textile industries, because at the end of the day, they're going to ask, okay, we have this, but where is it going? Because Kenyans are not consuming locally made apparels. Do you think we should go back to it and say that the only way to do that is therefore effect that proposal, and then we see exactly how our textile industry can slowly start coming up, as opposed to pumping into this and then say maybe something's going to come out of it? Yes, Amunga.
Yes, that's what we keep saying. There is a lot of putting the cart before the horse.
Yes.
You see, the research is not done so well. You know, we had what we have in Athi River called, what are they called?
The EPZ.
Yeah,
EPZs,
the EPZ,
you know,
yes.
They were a very good idea. Actually,
Yes.
in the Kibaki time, they came in because they were to promote actually the same thing, the textile industry.
Yes.
But a good thing about them is that they were sourcing for markets outside. There was something called AGOA, the American something initiative,
Yes.
whereby they had to tap into the American market, and so it was possible that textiles were made cheaply here in our country,
Yes.
and they were to get a market outside Kenya. And it was doing very well. But somehow things are again not working. Now, this new initiative of trying to bring textiles back, yet we have not even worked on our cotton. Where are we going to source the cotton?
Yes.
You see, we need the raw materials. You look at our cotton industry in this country, it failed many years ago. The people who grow cotton are not even there.
Yes.
Actually, agriculture in this country, let's just talk about the whole agriculture. Before you talk about the textile industry, you must talk about the raw material. Where are you getting the textile,
Yes.
the raw material?
Yes.
So you cannot have something as big as this and pump in a lot of money like this, yet you don't have the raw materials.
Isn't it?
And that's the problem.
Yes. Well, look at it. Tanzania, annually they have 700,000 barrels. Kenya, as we speak currently, we just have 20,000 barrels. But if you see the way in which we're approaching this, it's pretty much pumping money into the textile industries. Should we start by saying, let's first sit down and say, can we get the raw material to a certain point, and then after that, then we start pumping money into the textile industry that we want to revive?
Certainly not. And this is the reason why.
Yes.
Between the farmer and the industry,
Yes.
one of them has to take the initial losses.
Yes.
And the farmer does not have the ability to take the initial losses.
Yes.
And so this is why government is cushioning the industry to take the initial losses as the farmer prepares to produce sufficient cotton.
Yes.
But look at it on this angle. I think it's very good news that we are reviving the textile industry. I remember years back it was supporting quite a big region of the Lake Region Economic Bloc, of what is the Lake Region Economic Bloc right now. The River Tex is good. We are looking forward even to Kisumu being revived.
Yes.
But now the other issue that I wanted to bring up is, you know, one of the reasons why Tanzania can produce more is they have a bigger land mass, and they do not have half of their nation being arid and semi-arid.
Yes.
A problem that we have here. And so our agriculture can only be done within a small belt.
Yes.
Yes, he has mentioned something about AGOA and the opportunities that are there. That is there, and it is still ongoing. I think it has been renewed. In terms of investment and policy going together, I agree. This is very necessary. You cannot invest 1.6 billion and at the same time your policy is, we have open doors, you can bring in mitumba
Yes.
anytime you wish. and it is a big problem that we have to solve. The Americans and the European Union are very keen on ensuring that our doors are open so that they can dump all their textile that is no longer in use
Yes.
here, which is unfortunate. We have to close the doors and tell them, gentlemen, we feel the Chinese are better partners with us because they are equipping us to make our own clothes
to
and
make our
not
own clothes as opposed
supplying
to
us on
dumping
this.
them.
Yes, so on this one, I think I would prefer we work with the Chinese and with the Americans and the EU. We love you, but we love the Chinese love us more, so we have to leave it at that.
Yes, but Mr. Munga, we're running out. I just want one quick response on this as we close this conversation. Do you think that we will reach a level where we're saying that Kenya's textile industry can sustain this country?
No.
by itself?
Even our purchasing power is down. As
Yes.
Kenyans, how many Kenyans, and especially look at our youth, they are
Yes.
the biggest sector in this population.
Yes.
Do they really need new clothes made from Rivertex anymore? Do they need those suits anymore?
Yes.
In fact, if you look at our youth, they are wearing trousers that they have patches on them. That's their fashion now.
Yes.
They don't need that kind of Rivertex kind of thing anymore. The jeans they wear, they have those cuts on them, those kind of patches. That's the fashion that we have. That's where we are going today. People are no longer so keen on dressing up. That thing that we used to have in the 70s, in the 80s, wake up, dress up, show up, is no longer the thing for the youth. The current generation now does this. What is fashionable? If even walking without anything on is fashionable, they'll do it. I'm finished.
Yes.
Yeah.
Would you think that if you give them that as the only option they have, then they'd go there?
Absolutely.
No, they won't. They're working like monopoly. You can't force Kenyans anymore.
Actually, Rivertex,
As we clear, yes.
Rivertex is supplying some of the very big corporate uniforms, school
yes.
uniforms, college uniforms. I think they are doing so.
We
so
are running
well.
away from uniforms, my brother.
It's all right.
Schools will not have uniforms in the
But,
future.
but God forbid. But we are going to a point where give the youth a choice.
Yes.
And I think that choice is presented in this opportunity.
In this opportunity,
Yes.
gentlemen, I just painfully would like us to end this conversation. And just before you leave the studio, I just want to tell you exactly where we're taking you next. Now, TAMDA's Next, which is the Nairobi Securities Exchange NSE derivatives market that facilitates the trading of future contracts in the Kenyan market. Next was established as a result of increased integration of the Kenyan financial markets with international markets. Number one, increased volatility in asset prices in local and international financial markets, the need for more sophisticated risk management tools and strategies, the need to broaden and deepen Kenya financial markets. Next enables you to trade equity, index futures, single stock futures. What is your uptake on this? So now we're going to cross and join them shortly after this so we can see exactly what this event is all about. Gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us in the studio this morning. This is Takes a Cut.